Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Monday, Moon Day, May 12th, and the energies in the day adds up and reduces to number 8 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. So when it comes to today's energy, we have the full moon in Scorpio. Hopefully you've already seen the full moon video. So at the time of me recording this is May 1st. And since recording this, I feel like there's been so many distractions. If you've been watching the videos, you'll see what I'm talking about as I mention them. But it's not just the distractions with the things around me. I guess it's after the distractions come up, how they have me feeling a little bit jittery or whatnot. And for me, over time, I've learned whenever I'm doing a reading or whenever I'm dealing with energy, it's like everything around you is a part of the reading. Everything around you has a message, is guiding you. And, you know, when it comes to say this month of May, like I mentioned in the video that dropped on the 1st of May at the time of me recording this, and how May could be a portal, it's so important for us to watch our energy. It's so important for us to be conscious about our energy. And when we get to today's energy, the energies in the day adding up and reducing to the number 8 vibration, I find myself feeling a little bit emotional. Today is the full moon in Scorpio, and moon in Scorpio energy is turbulent energy. It's transformative energy. But the moon in Scorpio, we have one of the Lilith placements also in Scorpio. It's not conjuncting the moon or anything, but it's in the same sign. So for me, when it comes to today's energy, I feel like for some of us, some things can come up around betrayal and rejection. I feel like some things could come up around betrayal and rejection. That's something that stood out to me when it comes to today's energy. And when it comes to the spirit guidance, we have the earthworm in the upright position. And I feel like the earthworm for me is so fitting with this full moon in Scorpio energy. Because whenever I look at the earthworm, I always think about regeneration, which would remind me of Scorpio energy, self-preservation, death, rebirth. And my attention always goes towards this part of the earthworm and how you lose something, but something else grows within its place. Something else is replaced. So I feel like, you know, when it comes to say today's energy, but maybe even tomorrow is the grand finale where we see the major ending. You know, something is being released, but something else is coming in its place. And with the day adding up and reducing to number 8 vibration, it brings me to our systems and cycles. And when you turn the 8 on the side, you see an infinity sign. And that's not quite the case with this, but I think of like, say, a continuation of energy. And with this being a full moon in Scorpio energy, the number 8 energy for me deals with authority. It's like student teacher type of energy, but it's an authoritative energy. Whenever I see the number 8, I think of overseer officers. When it comes to today's energy, there could be some issues or some things that come up today around power struggles, or triggers today around power struggles. And the thought that came to mind is that song, Shake It Off. Shake it off in the sense that not buying into anything that causes you to feel like lower vibration, because being in this month of May, like I mentioned, For me, May is like a portal. It's like a glitch in the matrix. And it's important to not allow for ourselves to get distracted and fall into lower frequency energy. And as I'm speaking about that, this brings me to the movie Sinners. At some point, some of you probably have come across some thumbnail where someone is doing some kind of a review on it. And that has been my reality. And I was curious, so I went and saw it. And to my surprise, I actually enjoyed it. And I say to my surprise because I'm the kind of person where when people tend to hype things and then I go and see it or experience it, I feel like they hype it too much to where my expectations was too high. And, so it's, but for me, I'm surprised that I actually enjoyed it, because when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, it's 2 hours long. Damn, that's a bit long. But before I knew it, it was over. And the fact that it went by so fast said a lot for me. But anyways, after going to see it, I'm not going to spoil or give too much away. And this is not a review of it, but it brought me to the thought of vampire energy. It brought me to reflect on vampire energy and how we cross paths with vampire energy on a day-to-day basis, where we'll say, and we'll talk about energy vampires and things of that nature. And I think of, say, the movie and how with vampires, how vampires don't like the light. They can't take the sunlight. They have to dwell in the darkness. And I think about, say, within all of us and the importance of us bringing light to things within ourselves, bringing light by being honest when it comes to certain things that we deal with, not necessarily to the world or bringing your business or things to other people, but the importance of being honest to ourselves, the importance of shedding light on our situation. And for me, when I think of shedding light on a situation, I think of, honesty and accountability to me is the light. I think of honesty and accountability as the light. And without honesty and accountability, then something is in the dark and it'll fester and it'll grow. Where when I think of, like, say, energy vampire, I think of like, a person who doesn't want a solution. Instead, they just want your energy. They just want to complain. They just want your attention, but they're not trying to rise up out of that frequency. So watching that movie, for me, it just brought me to reflect on vampire energy on different levels and how us as individuals could be dwelling in vampire energy by refusing to hold light to our situation, by being honest and taking accountability. And for me, accountability doesn't mean wrong or right. It just means with everything we have a role, and what is our role? Because when we recognize our role, we come up out of the trance or the loop and we're able to do things different. And when I think of the number 8 energy and the infinity aspect of it, I think of the number 8 as, being stuck in a cycle. And, is that cycle working for you, or is it time for you to break up out of that cycle? And with the full moon in Scorpio, I think of breaking up out of a way of thinking, putting an end to a psychology, putting an end to a cycle, getting up out of the dark when it comes to a thing and bringing light to it. And I think of how a person will go to therapy to bring light to something that they're stuck in the dark about, and they don't know how to bring light to their situation themselves. When it comes to the movie also too, I think of the people that we associate ourselves with and how sometimes some of us can, do our best to try to bring light to ourselves and our situations. And when it comes to the people we associate ourselves with, when someone is really close to us, I think of, like, say, Scorpio energy and Cancer energy, how both those energies have a exoskeleton, meaning they're hard on the outside, soft on the inside. And because of that, these energies are very, 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 very careful about the people that they invite in, the people that they allow to get close to them, because of how tender they are, how sensitive they really are, regardless of what their outer exterior might present. But I think of how, say, those who we trust and we bring close to us, how they could sometimes unknowingly expose themselves to certain things. And then from their exposure could easily influence our world and then bring, say, the darkness, the dark energy into our world. But for me, you know, you bring lightness to the dark by, again, you know, truth and accountability, by choosing to see something for what it is, by choosing to see truth in a thing. So when it comes to, say, today's energy, and the earthworm, and looking at the earthworm growing a new part of itself, it brings me to growing this new part of ourselves by truth, by accountability, because how else could we change? Whenever I reflect on past experiences that I've had, when I'll find myself in situations that felt like the same poop, different toilet, it was because of a lack of accountability on my part. And it's like, I didn't know how to take accountability at that time. I didn't realize that I had a role in it. You know, I would find myself feeling like a victim. Like, why do I keep attracting the same kind of people who take advantage, the same kind of people who, you know, keep doing the same things over and over again, making friends with the same person in a different body, getting in a relationship with the same person in different bodies. And after a while, you know, of experiencing the same thing over and over and over again, because when I think of, like, say, I think of like a circle and a spiral. A circle to me is like get trapped in the same stagnant energy, where hopefully it's good stagnant energy and there's no need for growth because we're content with what we have. But I think of a spiral where there's consistent growth. And I feel like in nature, everything is growing. So the spiral energy is, you know, is the energy that we want to align ourselves with, consistent death and rebirth. Where whenever I think of, like, say, vampire energy, and whenever a person is bitten, it's like there's a small gap of time where, you know, you take them out so that they could experience, you know, the next level of life, where if they turn into the vampire, getting stuck in that low vibrational energy, then you loop and you live for, it appears that you're living forever, but are you really living or just looping within that energy? So I think of how, say, you know, for me with accountability, without accountability, I've found myself looping. The same thing keeps happening over and over again. And I would find myself feeling like, you know, life is just unfair, or I just don't like people, or people are evil, or this, that, or the next, until I realized that I had a role. And the biggest part of my role was boundaries. But at one point I wasn't comfortable enough to set boundaries, because for me, setting certain boundaries felt like, you know, I didn't want to, it's like, felt like being a bad guy. You know, but I had to learn that, no, like, I teach people how to treat me. I tell people what's okay and what's not okay by what I allow. You know, my role is what I allow. So we could all talk about how someone has done us dirty and this and that and the next. Like, if it was completely out of your hand and you had no role in allowing it because you're a child, like, that's different. But once we, you know, step into adulthood and we get to allow by showing up and participating, like it's on us. And, you know, thinking about the whole vampire energy and what I was saying also about us associating with certain people that we're close to, I think of how sometimes we'll try to, you know, work on ourselves and keep our energy positive and clean. And then there's certain people that we love and we hold near and dear. And when they go through certain things, we start going through certain things. And because of your love for them and seeing them suffer, how it could how it could bring you into a suffering energy. It brings me to the importance of, again, protecting our energy and knowing that there's never a reason or a good enough excuse to not bring light to our situation, not bring light to anything that has anything to do with us. And to me, bringing light for me is honesty and accountability. So someone close to me, it's like, okay, if you're close to me, then there's going to have to be honesty and accountability. I hold myself accountable. You hold yourself accountable. I hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. We're constantly, consistently growing. So, you know, it was interesting to me how that energy kind of like, you know, how the vampire movie and that aspect of it just remind me of everyday life and, you know, us being in the light and being in the dark. And when you think of like, say, toxic dynamics thrive in the dark. Like I think of like, say, the toxic family or friend group where you might have the one or two people in the group that are talking about everybody in the group behind their back, but they're playing the victim and they're playing the one that always needs rescuing. And because no one is willing to come to the light and confront, you know, or hold accountable what they heard. Everybody low key is feeling some type of way, but no one's coming out and saying what it is that they feel, but everybody's associating themselves with each other. And there's vibes, but you know, there's weird vibes, but no one's addressing the weird vibes. You know, that's where toxic behavior is. It gets to grow only in the dark, where if you put light on it, then people are held accountable. And, you know, like the vampires, that it has to stop. Just like with anything in our lives, anything that we're going through, anything I'm going through, to me putting light on it also is me putting my attention on it. And then being willing to be honest about it. I don't know what's happening outside. Maybe there's an air show happening that I don't know about or something where I see like, I guess it looks like the movies, like fighter jets, where it's like there's 4 planes and they're flying in a triangle. And I've only seen birds fly like that in real life or planes fly like that in the movies. We have the 7 of Cups in the reversal position. And I like that the 7 of Cups is in the reversal position because it brings me to like in the upright position, it brings me to getting lost in our emotions and daydream. And in the reversal position, it's being precise. It's being specific. It's focusing. I think of how today's Saturn energy is, that has an influence over the day because the day adds up and reduced to number 8 vibration. And with Saturn and Pisces, that would remind me of this in reverse position, where without Saturn and Pisces, it will remind me of this in the upright position where we have all these dreams, all these ideas, and they're kind of distracting as we're being pulled from one to the other, where Saturn comes in and creates structure, it creates time, it creates organization, and also a level of focus. So with that, having, you know, strong emphasis on today's energy brings me to, yes, something comes to an end. And maybe yesterday, Sunday, or even Saturday is what was a major triggering effect. But I honestly feel like since Thursday, it's like, I feel like there was a hold up, wait. And it's like, finally we get to today, the full moon. It's like, yeah, there's a level of focus when it comes to emotions, getting to the bottom of something, and then a release of something so that something new can grow within its place. And I am loving that about today's energy. Today being Moon Day, for me, I love Mondays, Moon days. Mondays for me normally have like, yeah, can you hear that? Oh my goodness. That's so loud. I've never heard that before. That's so loud. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. Like I said, I see the jets keep flying in the sky and they look like birds flying in a triangle. And then now this loud ass plane flying above. Maybe there's an air show or something. I've never seen that happen before, but who knows? But anyways, back to today's energy. being Monday Moon Day. For me, today is perfect for journaling, especially with this being a full moon. It's like, it's nice to take some time out today to just journal and release, to, you know, set intentions when it comes to the things that you want to release, the things that you want to let go of, however you do it. Some people have different rituals and things that they use to release and let things go, where I know some people will write things down and then burn the paper after, and the burning of the paper reflects, like, you know, the releasing and the ending of a, you know, whatever it is that they're letting go. But like I mentioned earlier with the date, adding up or reducing to the number 8 vibration, that deals with systems and cycles, and some system or cycle needs to come to an end or evolve to the next level. It needs to be looked at. But evolution, it needs to come to the next level. Because like I said, for me, I think of the circle or the spiral. The circle for me, that looping of an energy, would remind me of like the vampires not dying and living forever. But then I think of the spiral, when energy spirals, like I think of the death and rebirth. There's always a death and a rebirth, a dying and reborn to something new. Or when I think of that vampire energy, us dwelling in low vibrational energy, it's like we're just looping in that space. There's no growth. And in order for there to be growth, we need sunlight. And the light is truth and accountability. Pleasure sharing this message with you. Drop me a pink heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.